Good morning, guys. Just wrapping up a leg and shoulder workout today. And this morning, I had a very interesting Bible study. And the more I read the scriptures, the more I realize that majority of the messages from the pulpit are missing a lot of lessons from the Bible. And very unorthodox messages that we don't typically hear of. And, a common theme that we hear from the pulpit is don't fight back, turn the other cheek, right? But I'm studying the Old Testament right now. I'm in Nehemiah, and it's telling me a different story. And the more I study the Bible, the more I gather that context is key. Context is key because sure, I think that there are a majority of situations in life where we should turn the other cheek. Because it's foolish to always want to fight and resist and make a fuss out of every situation, especially if it's not significant. You know what I mean? Someone cuts you off in traffic. Okay, turn the other cheek. Someone's a little disrespectful to you. Okay, turn the other cheek. You know what I mean? But in this instance, in Nehemiah, a prophet of God, they're building Jerusalem, and an enemy is getting ready to ambush them. And the enemy is looking for a precise time, maybe at night when they're trying to sleep. And so they pray to God, which is really interesting too. Jesus says pray for your enemies, right? But in this context, Nehemiah prays against their enemies. And he tells God, remember their sin, and whatever evil plans that they're devising for us, put on them. And so he asks for God's protection, and he encourages everybody, hey, God's going to fight for us. But they don't live presumptuously. They take their own measures. They take their measures. They do their part. And he gets spears, shields, bow and arrows, swords, and gives them to all the men. And he says, protect your family. Fight for your wives, your sons, your daughters, your house. Be ready to fight. And then he sets up security watches. So there's a watch 24/7, during the day, during the night. And so as their enemies are watching them, they see that there's never a good opportunity for them to ambush them, because God moved them to always be on guard. And that's a great lesson for us today, is that spiritually, if we're always on guard, it gives the enemy less motivation to come and tempt us, to come and try to destroy us, because we're always connected to God. We're always on guard. And so there's never a window of opportunity if we're always on guard, right? We're always connected to God. Daily in prayer. Daily in the Word. Daily praying for others. So context is key, right, guys? And that's one of the things that's dangerous about not taking the whole Bible into context. Because if we were to only apply turn the other cheek into every situation, then if an enemy comes into our house and is going to try to kill our families, what we're going to do? We're just going to sit there and just watch them and let it happen? Like, no. The Bible is clear. There's many examples in the Old Testament where they protected their families. They protected their friends. They protected, their neighbor from being killed by using force themselves. So context is key, guys, right? And there's some of you that might disagree out there. And you know what I've learned is that no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're preaching, no matter what your goal is, no matter what direction you're going to take in life, there's always going to be someone with a different opinion that's going to be resisting you, no matter what. No matter how true, no matter how holy you are and present something in the most perfect way, there's always going to be opposition. Always. You can always expect opposition in this world. You're never going to satisfy everyone, because if you're trying to live a holy life, the wicked are going to be opposing you, right? And then if you're trying to willingly live a wicked life, and if you, God willing, have a few good friends that are, Christian and know the faith, they're going to try to encourage you in the right direction, right? So that's what I've learned, is that no matter what your message is, no matter how right you are, no matter what kind of facts you present, there's always going to be opposition. And you can't let the fact that just because some people are criticizing you about this, some people are criticizing you about that, that means that what you're doing and the trajectory that you're on is wrong, right? Because there's just always going to be opposition. So that's why at the end of the day, we got to trust God, that He's leading us, that we're in His will daily. And so no matter what opposition we get, we can move forward in faith and achieve the plans that God has set out for us. So the takeaway is discernment. Read the whole Bible. Don't take one verse out of context and run with it, because many times there's a lot of gray areas. And that's where spiritual maturity comes into play. And that's where spiritual discernment and knowledge of the whole scriptures. Because if we're just going to hang our hat on something, on one verse, when there's another verse over here, and it's not that it contradicts itself, it's that its context is key, right? So we have to be really diligent and pray for wisdom, that God will let us know when these different contexts arrive what action to take or to not take. So I hope that helps, guys. Do your own study. Fight the good fight of faith. Have a good day, and try to make this day great for somebody else. God bless.